Ready? All right.
Sure. Hi, I'm Scott Moreau. I teach at Wheaton College and I edit Evangelical Missions Quarterly. The reality for me is that all of us still imbibe of oral learning methods. We sometimes disguise that from ourselves and we don't value them in ways that are helpful in academic institutions. How often do we hear on the undergraduate level students learn a lot more from talking to each other in the dorms than they do in the classrooms themselves? And think back, for those of you perhaps who went to college, what are your memories of how you learned? You likely don't remember lectures, you remember conversations, you remember stories, you remember interactions with people. So framing that in a way that's helpful is not threatening to the institution, but it reminds us that even if we're literate, we're never purely literacy focused. It's always a blended mix. So there's space for that in the institution. One of the ways we do that in the program where I teach is we do a lot of case studies. Students just read a 2 or 3 page presentation and they have a series of things they walk through in relation to understanding and analyzing it. But for 2 hours they're talking about the story and they're using categories that we have developed that are more literate in their nature, but they still help them dig things out. Engaging in that conversation, often they walk away and a few years later they'll say, what did they remember? Not my great lectures. It was the case studies, or it was the simulations we did, things that engaged learning in ways that connected with them as people and not just with them as brains. And I think that's a wonderful illustration of how oral methods already are being used, and we need to help ourselves see that better and understand what's already going on, let alone then integrating it more holistically in the educational settings.
So you remember anybody from one of your classes where that really sunk in?
You get stories of people coming back to you later who say, yeah, I remember that case study, or I remember that simulation, or sometimes I remember that statement. A student who is now a president of a mission organization came to me and said, I remember one thing from all of your teaching, and it was a saying you made. It doesn't matter how many people you convert, it's how much you love. And he said that has been something that stuck with him. It was a proverb, in effect, not that was coined on the spot in the classroom, but it engaged a truth in a way that connected with him. And that's the one thing he remembered out of the time he was here at Wheaton.
That's great. Thanks, Scott.
Sure.